There are children who grow up, surrounded by noise, yet remain unheard. Children who are fed, clothed, even loved in practical ways, but never truly seen. The world looks at them and assumes they are fine, but inside, something goes missing. A quiet fracture in the soul that no one notices. Emotional neglect is rarely visible. It doesn't leave scars that can be photographed, and it doesn't create stories that others easily understand. It's the absence of warmth where warmth should have been. It's the emptiness left when every question was answered with silence, and every feeling was met with dismissal. As children, we don't have the words to explain it. We simply learn that our emotions are too much. We learn to suppress the tears, to shrink our joy, to stay quiet even when we want to speak. We learn that being unnoticed is safer than being rejected. And so, slowly, invisibility becomes familiar. When those children grow older, they don't suddenly forget. They carry that silence into adulthood, disguised as independence. They become the ones who never ask for help, who always appear strong, who make sure everyone else is comfortable, except themselves. The neglect they once received becomes the rule by which they live. Many of them succeed in the world's eyes. They work hard, achieve, smile politely, and care deeply for others. But inside, there is a constant hum of loneliness. A quiet voice that says, "No one really knows me." They long for connection, but struggle to trust it. They crave love, but find it foreign and frightening. The effects of being ignored in childhood are not always dramatic. They are subtle, like the erosion of stone by water. Over time, self-worth dissolves. The idea that one deserves to be seen, to be heard, to take up space, that belief fades until only duty and performance remain. Love becomes conditional, attention becomes earned, and joy becomes something that must be justified. For those who have lived unseen, the world often feels distant. They find themselves replaying memories they can't explain, feeling emotions that seem too heavy for no reason at all. It's not because they are weak. It's because a part of them was never allowed to exist freely. When a child's emotional world is neglected, they learn to disconnect from it. They grow up thinking that feelings are dangerous or pointless. They may become analytical, logical, efficient. Anything to stay away from the vulnerability that once brought them pain. But no matter how deep they bury it, the unmet need for love remains alive, waiting, asking quietly to be acknowledged. Healing begins not with blame, but with awareness. It starts when an adult looks back and finally names what was missing. It wasn't drama, it wasn't chaos. It was the absence of attunement, the absence of someone who looked at them and said, "I see you." To heal from being unseen is to learn the language of emotional presence. It means allowing oneself to feel again, even when it feels unsafe. It means learning to comfort the parts that were dismissed. It's about creating a new internal voice, one that listens, one that stays, one that finally says, "You matter." This kind of healing is not loud. It's not a sudden transformation. It's a slow reawakening. It happens in moments. When someone finally cries without guilt. When someone says no without fear. When someone rests without shame. Each small act of self-recognition repairs a piece of what neglect once shattered. And yet, the journey is complex. For many, love feels uncomfortable. Kindness feels suspicious. Being cared for feels like a trap. Because for so long, care was conditional, given only when it was earned. The nervous system, shaped by years of silence, resists safety because it doesn't recognize it. But with time, patience, and compassion, even the most neglected hearts can learn to rest. The inner child never disappears. It waits, quietly, beneath layers of adaptation. Sometimes it shows up as the sadness that comes without reason. Sometimes as the longing for someone to simply understand. It doesn't ask for much, only to be seen. When that happens, healing becomes possible. There's a tenderness in acknowledging one's own pain. It's not self-pity, it's truth. It's giving yourself the validation you should have received long ago. For the first time, the silence is broken. The adult learns to give the child what was missing: safety, understanding, attention. This process changes how we love. When we heal the wound of being ignored, we stop seeking people who continue to ignore us. We begin to recognize patterns that once felt normal. The pain wasn't your fault, even if it became your pattern. And once you understand that, the weight begins to lift. Healing from neglect isn't about rewriting the past. It's about reclaiming the present. It's about learning to be gentle with yourself, to give attention to your own needs, to replace the emptiness with awareness. It's realizing that attention is love, and you can finally give it to yourself. The world starts to look different when you see yourself clearly. Colors become brighter, relationships become deeper, and solitude becomes peaceful rather than painful. The inner void slowly fills, not with noise, but with presence. For some, this awakening comes through therapy. For others, through art, through reflection, through connection with people who listen. The form doesn't matter. What matters is the return to self, because every act of awareness is a form of love. When one learns to meet their own eyes in the mirror and feel compassion instead of criticism, the wound begins to close. When one speaks to themselves kindly, the old silence loses power. When one allows emotion instead of suppressing it, the child within begins to breathe again. And so the invisible becomes visible. The neglected becomes nurtured. The unheard finally finds voice. This is not an ending, but a continuation, a new chapter where attention replaces absence and care replaces indifference. The journey may take years, but every step is sacred. Every tear is honest. Every moment of stillness is healing. To have been unseen and to still choose to love, that is strength. To have been neglected and to still nurture others, that is grace. And to finally turn inward, to notice yourself, to honor your own existence, that is freedom.